The rock upon which a democratic society rests is its constitution. The constitution of the country is the supreme law of the land, and all citizens are subject to its provisions. The constitution guarantees the fundamental human rights of citizens. His Excellency, President David Granger, has consistently stated that respect for the rule of law is the foundation of a law-based society, one which can be sustained only by an independent judiciary, and has pledged that his government will continue to respect judicial independence. This week on The Government in Action, we will examine the aggressive steps being taken by the government to ensure that Guyana becomes a lawful state, which includes the passage of legislation to fight corruption, the appointment of constitutionally mandated judicial officers, and the setting up of constitutional bodies to improve transparency and accountability and to foster good governance. President David Granger, since his assumption to office 2 years ago, pledged to stamp out corruption in all its forms in public offices and to govern the country in a transparent and accountable manner. Shortly after assuming office in May 2015, the President, during a meeting with senior public servants at the Arthur Chung Convention Center, spoke of his administration's commitment to ensuring that the public service is one that is professional and unbribable. He noted that the country cannot function without an efficient public service, which he said is meant to ensure that a state is well governed. As part of this professionalization of such offices, members of the Public Service Appellate Tribunal, which was convened after more than 2 decades of inactivity and is viewed as an essential element in the system of public administration, were sworn in on May 17, 2017. This neglect, the head of state noted, had led to irregularities and inconsistencies in the public service. The tribunal's absence injured the interests of persons who felt wronged by unfair dismissals, the denial of benefits, or other disciplinary actions, but who had no redress. The tribunal affords public servants recourse, other than through the courts, to challenge unfair and unjust promotions, dismissals, and other disciplinary action by the Public Service Commission.
The tribunal's reconstitution represents a commitment to administrative justice. It reverses decades of neglect. It restores confidence in the government. It will boost public servants' morale. It will enhance professionalism in the national public administrative system.
Chairman of this tribunal, Mr. Nandram Kisoon, speaking after the ceremony, pledged that the body would work expeditiously in fulfilling its mandate to the public servants, ensuring that their cases are heard.
And that is the whole purpose of the Public Service Appellate Tribunal, to ensure that the public servants are adequately and properly dealt with.
2 members of the Judicial Service Commission, which is intended to insulate judicial appointments from political partisanship and personal and other biases, were also sworn in on May 17, 2017. The Judicial Service Commission, President Granger said, is an indispensable element of Guyana's legal framework, the guardian of judicial autonomy, and is the defender of its independence. It is the protector of its integrity and impartiality. The JSC, the head of state pointed out, is a mechanism which ensures that judicial officers will be appointed on the basis of their competence and integrity. It is obliged, he noted, to ensure that its recommendations for appointments of judicial officers flow from a dispassionate and objective process and are based on clearly defined criteria applied in assessing the appropriateness of appointees. President Granger described the constitutional body as the guardian of judicial autonomy, and its member and acting chairman of Public Service Commission, Patrick Yard, expressed content that the body was finally established after being sidelined for many years under the previous government.
We are extremely disappointed that it was not filled for such a long time, right? It was clearly an act, as far as I'm concerned, of wickedness by the previous government, denying public servants access to redress.
President Granger, during the recording of the April 14, 2016 edition of The Public Interest, outlined the steps that would be taken by his administration to ensure that corruption has no place in the government.
We are reforming the Guyana Police Force. We introduced 2 new agencies, the SOCU and SARU. one dealing with recovery of state assets and one dealing with investigation of white-collar crimes. We are going to improve our compliance with money laundering legislation, and the police force is going to strengthen its fraud squad. So in these ways, we expect that there is going to be greater vigilance. We know that corruption, I would say, under the last administration was quite pervasive.
The head of state, speaking on May 29, 2016, during the launch of the book, Governance, Transparency and Accountability, said that crimes of tax evasion, narcotics trafficking, trafficking in persons, money laundering all contribute to corruption and hinder development. Corruption, President Granger pointed out, is corrosive. It weakens the enforcement of the law and democratic values. It weakens accountability and transparency and public trust in government and the institutions of government. Further, he said that it removes resources from the government or from agencies which should be directed towards improving the quality of life, and what should be a public good is directed to private gain. However, the practice of good governance, transparency and accountability are more than the antidote for government. The president said that while graft is prevalent in several sectors of society, the government, together with the public, must commit to excising it and to ensuring that transparency and accountability are the hallmarks of service. He noted while there may be instances of official graft, government workers are not the only villains, as corruption can be found within the private sector, in offshore banks and in tax havens. As such, a concerted effort by all is needed to tackle the scourge. The government is ensuring that the work of the Special Organized Crime Unit, SOCU, which was established in 2013 as one of the recommendations outlined by the Financial Action Task Force's program of activities to ensure Guyana's compliance with international financial obligations, fulfills its mandate. It is expected to investigate suspected money laundering crimes and to prosecute persons suspected of terrorism and financial offenses, and falls under the control of the Guyana Police Force. Another body, the State Assets Recovery Unit, SARU, was established as a result of obligations under the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. The unit has been tasked with investigating claims of corruption and malfeasance committed against the state. As a result of investigations and audits, several cases of suspected corrupt practices have been forwarded to the Guyana Police Force for further investigation and possible prosecution. In this regard, during an interview with the Press and Publicity Unit of the Ministry of the Presidency, Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Basil Williams pointed out that government will endeavor to honor these commitments under the convention.
We are not going to sign on to treaties and not observe them. And so we have to reduce these treaties into our national law so that they could apply in Guyana. And that's what we're doing. And as I said, there are persons who are afraid because they obviously have purloined state assets. And they want to hold on to their ill-gotten gains. The society has to act in its interest.
In addition to the establishment of these agencies, the Legal Affairs Minister alluded to the fact that since the administration took over, law enforcement and related agencies have aligned with each other, allowing for the solving of numerous cold cases and greater efficiency in apprehending criminal elements. Reflecting on campaign promises, Minister Williams said that Guyana was turned upside down following 23 years of misrule, and the government is in the process of correcting the deficiencies which it inherited, particularly with respect to the functioning of key related agencies.
You must have the courts on the one end, the police, the prisons at the other end, the probation, the prosecutions, police prosecutions, DPP. So they have to be coordinated. You have to link. And so we have to ensure that there's greater collaboration in the justice sector now.
In part 2 of this edition of Government in Action, we will take a look at the anti-corruption legislative agenda as well as judicial independence as the administration holds firm to its commitment to transparent and accountable governance. Until next time, this is Stacey Carmichael. Thanks for joining us.